Are millennials already grappling with student loan debts and soaring house prices being ripped off by baby boomers, by being made to wait an extra 2 years for superannuation? And what are those doing physically demanding jobs who say they're getting the short end of the stick, given they're struggling to even work through to 65 at the moment, let alone 67 in 2040? As the political debate heated up over whether younger New Zealanders are having to carry the financial burden for the baby boomer generation, out on the streets of Auckland, the people we spoke to, and we spoke to lots of them, didn't seem that concerned about how they're going to fare in retirement. Not yet, anyway.
Do you ever worry about having enough money for your retirement?
Retirement? I haven't actually thought about that. I'm just thinking about now. but no.
It's kind of a long way off in the future though. Yeah.
Does it worry you though?
I suppose. Maybe. It will later when I'm like 45.
Hey, do you worry about having enough money for your retirement?
No.
Do you ever worry about having enough money for your retirement?
I don't have enough money to worry about.
Yes, quite a few people said that sort of thing to Zach Fleming. So opposition parties have made much of how people struggle to get to 65 now before they retire because of the physical nature of their work. So we thought we should ask those people what they think too. In other words, people whose work really taxes their bodies. Sally Murphy with this report.
Kiha Lawrence has worked in the fishing industry for over 40 years.
I do real physical because I lift 30 kg bins of fish on top of each other. I fillet the fish, do a lot of lifting with all the fillets and everything like that, and dragging the bins of fish into the chiller, pulling them out again. Yeah, it's hard work.
At 66, his body has had enough. He's retiring next month.
I'm starting to feel the aches and pains of my work through all the years, and that's really the reason why I'm finished. And my back and arms, legs from standing, arms from lifting, back from lifting.
Mr Lawrence believes the pension age should be staggered depending on what you do. He says he's worked with men who have had to leave the job while they're still in their 50s. 41-year-old David Topping agrees. His body is already feeling the effect of years of work as a welder and project manager.
Depending on your career, I think more the guys who are working, physically every day, you should be considered maybe 60, even lower. Whereas, I'm not being unfair to the guys in the office, but, your job is not as physical as what we'll be doing. So definitely, I would say it's a little bit unfair, but what can you do?
Mr Topping works 6 days a week. He uses his one day off to rest his body.
It's a tiring job. By the end of the week, you're pretty much knackered. So having to work an extra 2 years is not fun.
Do you think you'll last?
Doing this, I don't think so. I think I would have to change trades or sort of revert to the project management in a few years' time because it's quite physical and you get a lot of damage to yourself. Obviously intoxicating fumes from welding and a lot of noise pollution and so forth. So yeah, a few more years of that I don't think would be good for you.
68-year-old Paul Y. Thompson has worked as a nurse for 38 years. She's also retiring.
I've decided I've had enough. The job as a nurse is really quite intense. You're dealing with a lot of emotional stuff from your patients. You're dealing with the stress of getting them all sorted out. You're dealing with the verbal and physical abuse from the patients and the family.
Paul Y. Thompson cut down to 3 days a week at 65, but she does not think people should have to work beyond that age.
If they're going to keep the age at 67, there needs to be people that are in physical work need to be able to get a benefit at 65 or earlier if possible.
The superannuation age will rise gradually to 67, starting in 20 years' time. In Auckland for Checkpoint, cause Sally Murphy Tene.